Technical difficulties. All right. This is called the short version because this is going to be the short version.
Yep.
We unfortunately we had a planned. We knew we were going to be missing one. We are missing a second person due to unforeseen circumstances, and we actually have very limited time. And then technical difficulties is limited even more. So, ready to hear someone talk real quick? No, I'm not going to do that right now. Okay.
I don't think we could survive.
Last time, they unanchored a divine anti-magic prison. They released a Skull Lord. Nearly got killed. Reynolds did die. He shaded. And the shade nearly killed several people. The party stands at 2 unconscious, 1 suffering from 2 points of exhaustion, the other 3. 1 person petrified, 1 person conscious at low health at 3 points of exhaustion, 4 people up, where 3 of them are at, you're at 30-something, Silvertree is at 30-something, and Taylor is at 20-something. Faust is at the best. He only has 39 damage. He has no spells. So, the party is now in this room. They do not know where the Skull Lord is. They do not fully know where Anna is. And they are currently trapped between a rock and a hard place. And thus, that is where we begin, and we see if I can finish wiping them out. As the girl behind the camera is very graciously still helping us, despite the amount of technical difficulties giving her an aneurysm. Thank you. Alright, so, I'm not going to draw out the room for the simplicity's sake of the short version, but I'm going to play with markers. Alright, I'm in a mood. We're all in a mood. Yes. I'm being told to speed up. Alright, the room you've entered that Kevin, you had explored a bit earlier. I'm going to actually explain it to you now, since you actually did some exploration of it earlier. You came down the hallway. The hallway came down a few dozen feet before it took a kind of a weird curved right.
Yeah.
Once you took that curved right, you found yourself in what is obviously some kind of... Actually, make a history check. Before I just say obviously. There's other people in the room, so... Wow. Okay, someone really doesn't know what it is.
17.
Okay, you know. It looks like it's some kind of ancient tomb and treasury.
Okay.
There is gold and pearl plated ornamentations. You see jewelry and pots and urns full of, who knows, you haven't really opened them. There is another tomb, sarcophagus-like aspect directly in the center with gold inlay in the shape of a person on top of it, with writing that you don't know yet because you haven't had a chance to cast a spell. And the room itself has additional writing like you saw in the previous room.
Yeah.
In the first room with the Mummy Lord and in the room with the Skull Lord, and now this room, more writing just is visible along the walls. There are ornate paintings, many of them too big to move and seeming to be inlaid into the wall.
Yeah.
One which eventually you found set against the far wall, if broken, seems to have a passage behind it. You haven't tested that with the other paintings. It seems that Anna came in here, ransacked some stuff. As you do see some carpets on the ground, there is one urn that has been shattered and some black ooze-like material is leaking out of it in one particular spot. But the room itself is ornate in, even though several of the fabrics should have lost their color over the years, they are still vibrant greens, blues, and reds across dyes and fabrics on pots. The room is stunning when it's lit.
Yeah.
There was a few torches lit, and as you've investigated, you've lit a few more.
Okay.
And the room this is where, while you were searching, you didn't find anything originally. You eventually headed back to them, whereas the Energizer Bunny of Kevin showed up. You found Faust leaning against the wall, looking extremely tired. You see Carradine and Reynolds unconscious on the ground, with Krullik mumbling to himself, "It wasn't Reynolds. It wasn't Reynolds." He was, with his sword over Reynolds' body. Faust not doing anything about it.
Yep.
After a brief discussion, you picked up Carradine and Krullik with some exhaustion dragged Reynolds back through the now not so trapped hallway. Reynolds probably took a couple cuts from the broken glass on the ground, and you ended up walking back through the prison area into the separate room in hopes of not being seen, where Silvertree and Taylor have since found that broken painting, and after some effort have actually broken into it somewhat for enough for someone to now pass through easily instead of try to squeeze through and potentially get hurt from the jagged edges. That is where we're kind of starting, as Carradine, Reynolds, and Krullick are kind of put in the corner of the room that is not filled with ornate decoration. And Silvertree and Taylor pry open this hallway.
Yeah.
Did they put us near the ooze?
They did not put you near the ooze. I can have them put you near the ooze.
It's not.
Okay.
We've tempted fate enough today.
So yeah. So Taylor, as you come back in carrying Carradine, and then you come in dragging Reynolds, followed by Faust, Taylor kind of looks back after like trying to pry this open with Silvertree and goes, "Oh, jeez, we really need to just not do things sometimes." And she tries to pry. She's not doing a great job, but Silvertree actually is managing to get some pieces removed.
I walk up like I'm gonna attempt to help them out, but I'm gonna walk up and say, "Yeah, we need to. Not only that, we need to leave, like immediately." And I roll a 15 plus a 7. Like,
and I think it's almost exactly what you rolled last time, which is like you come over and on Taylor's end you like just pull it open, and Taylor's just like, "Fine then, all right." She goes, but then Silvertree, after you pull it open, goes, just kind of takes a celebratory smoke over by the unconscious people. Obviously, himself not fully exhausted, but definitely seemingly over his head, at least in the moment. In this particular tomb, he seems to be very startled. But Taylor goes, "Yeah, it'd be great to leave. Unfortunately," points down to the two unconscious people. Krullick, as you know and can see, looks gaunt and just weakened. She herself is bleeding pretty badly. It stopped, but she's covered in blood. You yourself are as well. She goes, "With them like that, and that other thing potentially still in here, I'm not exactly sure how quickly we can leave. Not to mention, right." And you see her kind of turn and take down the hallway, and so she's like, "What's that about?"
What?
As Taylor takes down through the opening that finally got pried open, it's like she had forgotten and then suddenly remembers and bolts down the passageway.
Okay. Yeah, I would follow her, I guess.
Okay. And she's quicker than you, but you down the hero here. Crap! As you get there, a few seconds later, and you see Taylor very obviously, like, in front of a stone statue that is very obviously Anna.
Okay.
In front of what looks to be a pile of black granular sand with a silver chain on it.
Yep.
Other than that, this is pretty much empty with a small alcove.
Yep.
You have no idea what any of this is, neither is Taylor, and Anna's just petrified.
Yep.
And Taylor goes, "Faust?" And you hear it in your head, and Faust goes, "I'm out of spells."
Yep. I go to try to see if I can move her.
Yeah, and as you kind of get close, Taylor backs up and goes, "Make a strength check. Make it athletics."
Yeah. 18 plus a 7.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
How
heavy do I think it is?
Well, let's do conversion from flesh to stone. Because she's actually fairly muscular and she's wearing armor, which all has been petrified.
Yeah.
So the probably somewhere between 180 200 pounds of gear plus herself has been turned to stone. Probably, I'm gonna say somewhere around 600 to 800 pounds estimation.
Yeah.
So as you do that, you get her tilted.
Yeah.
It is not an easy carry.
No.
Make an Arcana.
17.
Okay. One of the benefits of being petrified, however, is you're kind of not feeling pain or in any danger unless you break her.
Yep.
So
It's good.
unless someone actively attempts to smash her, she is at least relatively safe, if not pretty much dead.
Yeah.
Dead and safe.
Yep,
That's an odd
dead
way
and
to think
safe,
about
yeah.
it, but yes.
All right.
Fausta relays to you, Kralik. He just goes, "Yeah, it looks. There was these things we had to destroy. They petrify you if you're not careful, and I think Anna might have that or she's dead. I'm not sure which yet. They're not telling me.
And you can fix it
I-
though if she's.
Not right now. I can't.
Yeah, but you can.
If she's petrified,
Okay.
it's and he pulls out. Goes. It's the last of my diamond dust. I didn't have a ton left,
Yeah.
which means
Mhm.
you're sleeping this off. I can't.
I don't think there's anything.
I mean, I could if I had more diamond dust.
True.
Which he actually looks at him and goes, "Well, actually, maybe we could probably smash something in here. Maybe. But
Potentially.
we'll wait on that."
Yeah.
I've got nothing besides sheer force of will that can get her out of there. So.
Alright. Like I said, you got her to the point where you can't fully like deadlift and walk,
Yeah.
but you got her angled where she's like on her heel basically, and you can drag. And
Yeah.
Taylor's gonna attempt to help you, so you can make athletics with advantage.
Okay.
And you just have to make it a couple times with advantage.
Advantage. Gosh.
Ooh.
Ow. 4 plus a 7. Yeah, that's.
I mean, it's slow.
It's slow. Yeah.
It's slow. He has advantage.
It's
the chance
not-
of her breaking here
yeah.
is low, but
Yeah.
roll again because unfortunately you didn't get very far that time.
Alright, 18. That's a nat 20. That's advantage.
Okay, you after the first kind of you get a better grip. One of her arms is kind of like outstretched, so you're able to like kind of get underneath and like drag.
Yeah.
And you actually get almost back to the group with that one. Just
Okay.
kind of one more to get her into the room, and so
That
alright,
was
so
a
18.
18, yeah.
18. Okay. So yeah, you end up getting her back into the room. It's a bit of a struggle to get her out of the gap that was made. However, with Silvertree and Taylor and even Faust with his minimal help,
Yeah.
you do manage to get her out. However, she is now, and there's a terrifying moment as you do see some other statues in the room, and she just seems to be another fixture of these statues. The
Yeah.
other statues are a little bit less heavily armored and have less of a face of emotion,
Yeah.
but the other statues in the room and their dyed clothes and their jewelry, she just kind of joins that
Yeah.
collection. And Faust goes, "Okay, good news. She's not dead. Okay,
Yep.
I can fix that in the morning."
Unfortunately, I can't really get her out of here unless you want to drag her the whole way through.
And them two, and points to Carradine and Reynolds that are both unconscious.
Yeah, I can probably get them out. Slowly, but we can get them out.
We could potentially get them out, but get them out to where?
Just somewhere out, away from whatever the heck that was.
I think we need to check on whatever the heck that was.
I mean, it would be stupid for it to attack the Rada, so we should probably head back there to safety.
Right, but and Faust is the one talking with you as Taylor basically like just kind of checks on Anna, and it's just kind of checking on people in general, including Kralik, who just Taylor's gonna actually ask you what happened in a moment, like because she doesn't know
Yeah.
what happened on that end, but Faust goes, trying to drag unconscious and stone through a desert. I'm
It wouldn't be-
afraid Anna would just.
We at least need to get to the desert, and we can go from there. Because I can get. It wouldn't be that bad. We wouldn't have to drag them out. I can deal with them potentially. But we'd have to at least drag Anna, or at least carry Anna in some way.
Give me a second. Yeah. And so Faust goes, "I'm just nervous that if that thing is still here, us dragging her is going to make noise, and that's an easy target.
Agreed.
That's a good way to get a lot of. Before we do anything, I think.
We need to find a safe spot then.
Do you have?
I have I can make us safe, but against that thing's magic, it might be tricky. So.
All right. Well. Why don't you? Because he kind of looks you up and down, looks everyone else up and down, and just kind of goes. This room's probably the safest at the moment that we have.
All right.
If possible, do we want to
What room
go?
are we in?
You're in the I guess I'll try it.
So we're not like in the room
So-
we just fought this thing.
No. There was the 2 hallways.
Yeah.
And you're down this one, that
Okay.
one thing down that one, and there's that big main chamber in between, which Faust is nervous about attempting to drag Anna because of the sound through that room. So he does ask your opinion. He goes, would setting up your hut inside behind the painting or in front of a doorway, what's...
It could be better there. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go see if I can find out what's going on with that thing.
All right, just get everyone over to me, and then I'll get that thing going.
If I don't come back in an hour, do whatever you can to block and don't come looking.
Okay.
And with that, Faust actually does leave the chamber. Everyone sees it. You're the only one who hears what he's doing. But Taylor, over by you, Kralik, walks up, and she's badly hurt. I think you're pretty badly hurt too.
I have 81 health.
Okay, you're not too bad actually.
No,
Wait,
well, that's because
Faust healed
Faust
you.
was like,
He used the last of his.
get out of here.
Yeah, that's right. Live for us all. No, but that's still pretty bad. That's not the best for you. It's not bad, but it's not.
I'm down about 40
About
hit points.
40. Okay. But so she kind of comes over to you though, and just like, well, you look like you've been healed. You got some new scars.
Yeah.
You look a mess.
Oh yeah.
Because right now, even like your swords are heavy.
Oh yeah.
Like it's.
He's just laying down.
Yeah.
He's not.
Basically, there's 3 people lying down with Silver just above you, smoking.
Yeah.
Just he seems to be overwhelmed by something. You're not sure what, but he's overwhelmed by something.
Cancer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry.
All right.
Wrong.
Cancer's finally reached his brain. But no. So yeah, Taylor comes over, and after she kind of inspects, she does inspect Reynolds like for a moment, then Carradine for a bit, and then comes over to you, and then she sees that you're actually still awake. And
There's
goes,
only one entrance to this room, right?
Well, there's the one from that main area, but you see that this painting at least had a second passage. You know it dead ends. Don't know what else is
Okay.
in this room, secret-wise. You, unfortunately, no one else really rolled a high
Yeah,
investigation
That's
to
fine.
find much else.
So all I can see really is one entrance right
Yes.
now. Then I'm gonna, as I'm casting Tiny Hut, I'm also gonna cast Alarm.
Okay.
So 30 minutes of spell casting, basically.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
I'm
going to
gonna-
be basically while Faust is gone.
Yeah.
But so Taylor just
I'm
comes up
gonna-
to you and goes,
It'll be a mental alarm too.
"Okay." Because what happened? You grabbed Reynolds and suddenly you were gone.
So I asked a couple people that were near me if I should try and dispel him the way I tried to dispel Faust.
Not a bad idea.
So
Probably didn't work out.
no, I did it and dimension doored.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so I dimension doored like right above in that big hallway near that other place.
You were alone with the shade.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess that's why Carradine and Faust seemed a bit angry at Carradine when he left.
I think it was something along the lines of he was dimension dooring and then Faust had a dimension door.
You know, I think that's fair.
Yeah, and
Seems
so
fair.
apparently then it happened again, and Faust got really mad that time, from what he was telling me. So, because they burned through 4 spells instead of just 2.
I'm gonna ask you something, and I mean it. Just while everyone else is either unconscious, petrified, or I don't care about, and she points up to Silvertree, who just kind of looks down, goes, shrugs, and keeps smoking.
I look up at Silvertree, I'm like, you really think the best idea is to be smoking over a couple of people who are, like, unconscious, and, like...
And he takes it and goes, smoke rises, and just keeps smoking. Taylor goes,
Wait, where is he smoking?
Right above all 3 of us.
near them. He's over in the corner. He's a couple feet away from you, enough where Taylor can stand in between the two of you
Okay.
without issue.
Like if he's inside the hut, like that's just
No, he's
killing
not inside the
everyone.
hut yet. You're still casting. Technically, your conversation with Faust hasn't quite ended yet while they're
Okay.
having this conversation.
Good.
But right. But Taylor's like, I don't mean it the wrong way, but I kind of do. How the crap are you friends?
with?
Anybody? Like,
Am
is
I
is
friends with-
Karen friends with Faust? Is Faust friends with Kevin? Are you guys just all walking with each other because it's in the same direction? I still don't get this group. Nor why, if Karen makes Faust that upset, Faust threatens to kill most people. And I do see an arrow wound in him.
Yes.
So Faust got that
Somebody
upset.
told me that was a poison arrow, though, too.
My point then, how is he not going to get up, and how are they okay with each other at that? You
'Cause the
can't,
thing
normally
is-
you can't shoot someone with a poison arrow, and then shake hands or sleep next to them the next day and think you'll be okay.
The thing is, we all want to get to the blade.
Is that it? Is it really just
And so
same goal?
it's the fact of, yeah, we do stuff to annoy each other all the time. But
Obviously.
at the end of the day, is that going to stop us from just existing with each other? Like, I mean, like, I know that I've annoyed people in this group a
You
lot,
and
and people in this group have annoyed me a lot.
You and
But
Faust
they-
threatened to actively kill me for annoying you.
Yeah, because that's just what we do.
The issue is you guys are fairly serious.
Yeah. And then you stopped annoying us as much, didn't you? And then other stuff happened, and now we're here.
And that's just it. Now it's just because we're here that's supposed to be okay. Like, I shouldn't
mean-
slit Reynolds' throat for being annoying.
The thing is, though, like, you've threatened so many times. Like, I literally ripped him up with my sword. He punched me in the face. But it like, we
Right,
can still.
and how? How, though?
The
That's
thing
not
is-
normal. And I know you're not exactly normal,
That's obvious, yeah.
but you usually can't punch someone and then nearly cut their head off and then walk down the hallway and joke with each other an hour later.
Right, and people don't normally fight Skull Lords together. People don't normally go through death scenarios with each other, come out alive,
Aren't we
and
going-
continue to travel. We've burned down cities together. You really think a punch in the face is gonna make me really?
Well,
Oh no,
technically-
that's the
technically
tip.
he didn't
the
burn
tip of
down the
ice-
city with us.
Reynolds?
Yeah.
No, but the thing is like, we all trust each other in some way, shape, and form. I trust Faust a lot. That's just I do. I trust Faust a lot, and the
this
fact
is
that
around
Faust
in their in your conversation, that Faust's conversation with Kevin. Kevin walks back towards one section. Faust starts walking another way, but you're in the
I'm
middle
not
of
even
it.
looking up.
Okay.
I'm looking straight up.
Right,
actually.
right. Never
I'm
mind
on
then.
my
Okay,
back,
so
like
yeah,
and so I'm just like,
In Dalian we trust.
I'm like oh god, I trust Faust, and if Faust hasn't killed him or given me a reason to kill him, then I'm not gonna kill him.
That's a lot of trust.
It is.
Do you have the same trust for? And she actually points and gets at least your attention towards Kevin, who seems to be. Do you do alarm or tiny hut first?
Tiny hut.
All right. So you see, he's in a. I don't know where you are. You'll tell me in a little bit.
It's obviously before everyone has to be around me when it's cast.
I thought you could just let someone in after you cast
And
it.
the people who are there,
So you just move over to them.
well, because I'll probably beckon them over like, hey, like if you want to like sleep comfortably in the night, better come near me.
So while you two are talking, Silvertree's gonna grab Reynolds and start dragging over towards you. But she gets your attention as you see Silvertree, still cigarette in the mouth, just dragging Reynolds by the ankles.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I was doing. So
yeah, exactly. He's just his little Hawaiian shirt just rolled up and dirty and torn,
Yeah.
and just like as he's just dragged.
I'm not going in.
He's
just
lost
yet.
one of his sandals at some
Yeah.
point. But no. But he pulls him over. This takes a bit.
Yeah,
But she points towards Kevin and goes, "Do you give him the same trust?"
I give him the same trust in a different way. I give Carradine the same trust in a different way. I give Anna the same trust in a different way. I even give you the same trust in a different way.
What does that even mean?
Cause
Don't
like,
you just trust someone or you don't?
yeah, I trust you guys. trust you guys a lot.
What about those two?
No, I don't trust them at all.
Silver Tree and Reynolds.
No, not at all. They haven't given me a reason. You guys have given me a reason to trust you.
You hear as he drops
Well,
Reynolds' feet.
he's in the hut now.
Well, he hasn't fully casted.
You
Everyone's
have
got
to,
to
you
come
have
over.
to be over there, otherwise you can't
Oh.
come in the hut.
But so Silver Tree starts walking back as Reynolds' body is just now just like sitting there at your feet, just like sprawled. And he comes back and grabs Carradine, and it's a little bit harder and he's a bit slower. As
I'll get up
a
at that
lot
point
slower.
and I'll help him out. So that
Right.
he's not dragging. I'll
And
lift
what
up his
happens-
arms and carry him that way.
Taylor, after you kind of get up, the conversation just kind of comes to an end there. She's just
Well,
like,
No, I'll continue the conversation with her. I'll
Well,
tell her like,
but
no.
yeah, in
the
that,
thing
in that
is
moment,
like once
she grabs the tuning fork because,
Oh yeah,
and
the tuning forks.
as technically one is still attached to him,
Okay.
the other was in his hand when he went unconscious, and so that
gotcha.
one. Yes, he does have two. It's you both have massive weapons on your back. But as you all bring
Doors
Taylor
are hard.
comes, so the rest of the group does show up at Tiny Hut at this point. Which how long does it take to cast? Are you doing ritual?
15. Or no, is it 10 or 15? That's for
10,
ritual.
10 for ritual.
Alright, 10 minutes.
You're almost at the end of this 10 minutes as they finally actually all come over after the dragging. And Taylor just goes, I think you're all a bunch of weirdos. And she says
We
it to
are.
you, you overhear it, of
The
course.
thing is like, I trust people through the experiences I share with them. I've experienced a lot in a little bit amount of time with the people here that I now trust. And so,
Sorry,
Yeah.
I quickly remark, like, says the person who's sided with this weird thing that we're attached to.
He's referencing Dan, yeah.
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 We're all,
That's what he
you're
comments
all
on.
weird. Like, okay, sure. I'm
Oh,
weird.
right.
to Taylor. To
Yeah.
Taylor, you make this comment.
I'm weird, Taylor, yeah. Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, you are. And,
With the experiences that we share, that's how I trust people. I haven't experienced a lot with Silvertree, and I haven't experienced a lot with Reynolds just yet. We're getting there. Once we burn down a city or two, maybe we'll get to that level. But
what do they do to break your trust, though? Honestly, I'm going to bring it up. He and Reynolds ran away.
yeah, and
Faust just left.
and I said my piece about that, and
And that's it?
that's all I can do. What am I gonna do? Try and kill Kevin? No,
It
it's not
seems
worth
on
it.
brand.
Very on brand.
Not over something like that, though. If I can't get over something, then then like, if little things like that are what's gonna make me go over the edge, then I might as well not even be in this group. You gotta be able to take a lot to be here. You gotta be able to go through a lot with people to be in this group.
Also,
And if you can't take this, if you can't, like, if Silvertree just thinks that we all hate him and ends up wanting to leave, then that's on him. He can leave. But if he stays, then we'll end up trusting him more.
you kind of have to make up for it. I mean, he kind of owes me some trust, considering I saved his life already.
Yes.
Are
Right,
you
so-
commenting?
I'm referencing
When
the.
I died in the cantilevers,
Okay.
he came
I-
and saved me.
I'm playing 5 characters at the
Yeah.
moment.
Because Taylor's the one with the issue, right?
Right.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you
Right.
didn't like talk like I didn't want to make sure you weren't referencing Silvertree all of a sudden. Okay.
He saved
No.
my life, and he's helped me out with other things. And so that's that's just what it is.
And we're just all supposed to be calm about it, or at least
No, not all the time. I was ticked at him, and now I'm not,
And then-
because we
and
get
then all of
over
a sudden
it.
you see Silvertree just hands pulls out another cigarette, hands it to Taylor, and goes, "This helps. Trust me, it helps a lot." And he just takes another big inhale, and she's just like,
Don't resort to drugs.
and she just kind of like drops it at his feet. He just shrugs and just continues to just.
We don't
Listen,
we don't have to. We're not always gonna be on the best terms with each other, but we're just gonna keep going. That's the thing.
All right. So if I stab one of you, I don't get automatically killed if you guys are annoying.
I think you've already stabbed most of us.
I've stabbed Reynolds. I
And
actually
me.
really haven't done much else.
You stabbed me.
When did I stab you?
I can't remember. If
Yeah,
I remember
'cause
all
I
the times I
didn't.
get stabbed.
Because I
That-
didn't. You
yeah.
near stabbed me. Faust shot me in my knees.
Yeah.
Faust just shot everyone.
Yes. That's actually something we've kept track of. He has shot everyone. Did he shoot Anna? When did he shoot Anna?
I don't think he's ever shot Nana.
I don't think anyone except for me
He shot me.
has hit Anna, and I was somebody else at that time, so that can't be held against me.
I mean, you were also like
I got dominated, and then
in a like ship fight. Like you were just in an arena. Can't really like help that.
yeah.
The ship-
Oh yeah, well that was different. We're meant to fight at that point, and
Oh,
so
all right, fair enough.
she
So-
hit me with a low blow though. So
So we're just all okay with the idea that Faust, when annoyed, has anger issues and just stabs and or shoots or banishes one of us for a bit.
If you kill someone, there's gonna be some problems.
So that's the line.
That is the line, considering like
Well-
how far we've crossed the line so far.
I mean, like, yeah, I mean,
I'm inclined to say violence is acceptable within limits. You just
Right.
gotta be willing to. Make
you've
up
already
for it.
stabbed Reynolds a few times,
Right. Because he's
So-
a prick.
right? And we're okay with that because we know that. That's why when you go and stab him, we're like, oh, all right.
The girl behind the camera is having
That-
the hardest time.
Welcome to
with
the,
The thing
her.
is, if he gave you a reason to kill him, then we'd
Well-
all stand with you and
Welcome to the
Do that,
party
like-
dynamic of demigods, basically.
right.
Like,
Yeah. Demigod points down to Reynolds
Yeah.
and Carradine, who are just unconscious. and
exactly. Like we're all
bleeding.
just like easily like okay with this for the moment. Like we're not we're not.
The thing is, why I
We're not as
respect
worried as
and
we could
trust
be.
these guys is because you have to like respect the power. Like I have power that normal people don't have. The
So a tree
abilities
goes,
that I have,
Yeah, I've noticed.
and so
puts
I
his-
know that other people in this group have that power, and so there's a certain amount of, yeah, they could hurt me. That you kind of have to have there.
All of a sudden, Soldier goes, "Why is it such a big deal when I accidentally hurt someone in the middle of a fight?"
Because it's in the middle of a fight.
Yeah.
What? None of you hurt each other in the middle of a fight? You
No.
fireballed them.
Yeah. And I got like I got backlash for it. It's not ideal.
People aren't always good about that.
So I was like, I guess.
But I learned.
No, but okay. But back to my another point though, because you're right. Every one of us gets backlash for that crap. There was a time we were in a burning building and Faust was firing blindly through a flaming tree. I don't remember any backlash for that.
Did he hit you?
He hit you.
I was down. I wasn't a part of that.
He hit someone.
I feel like it's probably because of
The
the.
thing
He
is-
hit Carradine.
He did.
Right.
I
But
feel
he
like
also took out the entire house by himself,
He-
firing those arrows.
if you can back it up, you're welcome to it, I guess.
So that's just what this
that's
is?
probably how that how
But
that
the
why
thing
that
is
worked.
like,
If we're strong enough that we don't feel like we should be recriminated against, we aren't.
If you are valuable, I think that's why we don't want no one like he could also take care of healing said person that
The
he,
thing is,
he hurt
I
anyway.
guess
We
it does
know
have that
that-
habit, yeah.
right, we know that what Faust was doing, he was firing blindly, but he took out most of that house on his own.
I mean,
Firing.
technically, the weird thing he turned into took out a big good chunk too.
Wait, which house? Which burning house are we talking about? We gotta clarify this.
The one that you kicked the door in with.
Yeah, what he didn't turn into anything.
Yeah, he showed up and turned into like an ant keg
Oh
or
yeah,
something.
he did. Yeah, and he did a lot, but there was like 3 floors of that house, and Faust took up the upper levels when we were on the bottom level. He was when I went up the stairs, I saw bodies on the ground.
By the way, can we start like naming these pile of ashes we leave? It gets real hard trying to remember which house was burning down.
That was Garfield.
That was his name. I honestly didn't remember. That was your thing.
Yep. A lot of this stuff has been my thing, unfortunately.
It has.
It's not because I just
Most
Yeah.
of Lecce was your thing.
Garfield,
Oh, yeah.
Ichabod, Portstown.
well, the bank was Taylor.
Point, oh, I can't point to Fausti's.
You point down the hallway.
Leccia was half and half.
What?
Leccia was half and half between Taylor and myself.
Faust is not blameless.
I was just there.
What did Faust start?
Portstown!
That was technically those two.
No,
He got arrested.
Right,
Yeah.
he got arrested.
We
We
Yeah.
had to start a civil war to break him out.
Yeah, he was the catalyst for that entire
Right,
thing.
but you could also say that Faust getting arrested
Do you
was
think
kind
I just
of his
do you
fault.
think I just burned down temples for no reason?
Yes.
Yeah, you know, arguably, I guess Faust getting arrested is arguably our fault because we did leave.
We left, and then there was something that happened. He
The
got
screaming
caught.
ring.
He got caught saving his butt. He was shooting at the guards that were coming to get him.
Okay, so it's everyone's fault.
Yeah.
Is that just what it is? And so she goes, it's everyone's fault and no one's fault. That's what the nature tells me. Live like the plants. And just puts
Yep.
a cig- and you can tell like whatever he's smoking now seems to be stronger than before.
All right.
That's just the. But yeah. So, if there's just the that's it.
That's it. Okay. Cool. And
Now,
at this like
Is there
Taylor kinda,
anything else?
where's Faust?
He went out. He's
Getting groceries.
See, but this is my thing, right there. What? Taylor kind of.
he's scouting ahead, and he said not to look for him if he doesn't come back, which I'm inclined to trust it.
I won't. But
If you guys want to look for him, you can. I'll hold a.
I'm not gonna look for him yet. He said he gave a time limit on when he wanted to be when he didn't want to be looked for, right?
Yeah, we got an hour.
Yeah. So if you're not back in an hour, go look for him.
Yeah.
Which at
That's
this-
the other thing. If you're
Oh, you-
kind of going
You had
along,
to cast alarm first, so you can't leave the bubble to go cast it.
I think you can target it. Actually, no, it can't be cast through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
so
yeah, I cast alarm.
You did
first,
alarm
but-
first, then this, but
Yeah.
so it's been about half an hour since
Yeah.
after the conversation, after a little bit of dragging and stuff like this. It's been about half hour since Faust left.
Okay.
And I have to actually do some rolls. But as
what I found too is, if you do the opposite in certain scenarios of what Faust says, then it's not always the worst thing. So he said, don't go look for him. If we go look for him, and we find him, and he's been arrested again, or then that won't be so bad.
if he's arrested, I will turn myself in. I'm okay right now with being in that jail cell in Narada again.
Yeah.
It's the last time I think I legitimately felt like I could sleep after I stabbed Reynolds.
Yeah.
Love that I can't defend myself.
No, you and Reynolds cannot defend yourselves.
No.
I don't care about Reynolds.
Alright. Just a couple rolls. This. Okay. It's approaching that 1 hour time limit, and
Yep.
Faust has not returned as of yet.
Alright.
It's hard to tell exactly, though, because once you've actually set up the bubble, you know it took you about 30 minutes to do so, but once everything, the conversation kind of starts to die down just due to exhaustion,
Right.
you're hurt, Taylor's hurt. Silvertree's the least hurt of you all, but currently he seems to just be trying to absorb the fact that he's now seen another part of this little group do this weird green shade thing, and then
Is he
all of
not
you seem to
asking
be
anything about
okay about it. At the moment, no.
Okay.
At the moment, he is just sitting there and trying to apparently not panic.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Krullick does say to Taylor though, he's like, I am trying to, I guess, as you said, it wouldn't be off-brand for me to just go and kill something or whatever. I'm trying to change that. That's not going to be the thing I do from now on. I don't want it to be that.
Okay.
So, and the thing is, Carradine is the one who pointed that out. So, at the same time where, yeah, we can get annoyed with each other, we can dislike each other, but we can also help each other.
Sure. Okay. That makes about as much sense as anything else, right?
None of this makes sense. None of this makes sense.
The only thing. Nope, not even that.
My
But
only friend.
it's fun.
And she does crack a smile at that and goes, you know what? Sure.
At least for me.
No, she laughs and goes, yeah.
Like,
I guess I can't. It's been interesting. I did steal from a mob. I stole a lot of
That
money
was
from
awesome.
a mob. And there's this weird
and
like.
then we ended up fighting them.
Yeah. And there's this weird like jovialness to the mood for a moment, and for a little bit, for a while, as the hour does slowly tick over.
Yeah.
And you didn't know exactly when Faust left or anything,
Right.
so it goes a little bit past an hour. Make an intelligence check to see if you notice how much time has passed. Because you're exhausted. Oh yeah, it's advantage because exhaustion.
7 plus. It's just my flat intelligence,
Yeah,
right?
just fine intelligence.
10.
Oh, yeah. You probably notice it closer to the hour 20 mark
Right.
when you're like, all right, it feels like more than an hour has passed, and Faust, at least as of yet, has not come back. At this point, you've not had you've had enough time. If you had been intending a short rest, but if you're intending a long rest, technically you don't get the benefits of a short rest if you
Yeah.
just get up. So,
We'll give it a little bit more time.
Well,
Oh.
good.
What?
he was just
Oh,
thinking
yeah.
this. This is just something he was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should talk to him.
Oh, that's right. Faust, where are you?
There's a few moments of silence before you do hear back, though. You hear, "Be back in a couple minutes. Give me a second."
No.
And it is. It's a couple minutes later.
Yeah.
He kind of strolls back up, looks at the bubble, and goes, just in his head, as he's just actually, does he trigger your alarm?
No, I would designate the whole party basically.
Okay. So he does come back into the room. And goes, just in your head and in your head and Taylor's, because the only three he knows is currently up. Is Anna in the bubble petrified?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys just have like
There's just a statue
a
of
statue of Anna like mid this.
Yeah, we laid
Just like
carrot in front of it.
Sacrifice.
Wow.
You are my only friend.
just drape him over the
Coat. Just-
You're
Only
unconscious for a
friend.
statue. Do you? Yes. Do you? Yes. Good, you're married. Good.
Oh man.
But yeah, so Faust comes up to the bubble, and you said he can't enter?
You can't get in, yeah.
I thought it mentioned
can-
something.
You can teleport in.
Oh, I guess it's if you're in it, you can let someone out and in if they're in it, but
Yeah.
he can't teleport. He's no passive spells.
I know.
So Faust just kind of comes up to it and sees the bubble and just kind of in your heads, he just kind of goes, the skeleton isn't there.
No.
I didn't expect it, but I think they would think.
Yeah, he walked out of a tunnel.
It would probably be eager to get out. Like,
Well, we walked down the only tunnel out of here and we didn't see him.
Oh.
So,
He had magic.
or there's another escape in the other room.
That other guy might have had magic. Edward was his name or something like that.
Whatever his name was, I didn't hear it. Technically, Reynolds is the only one who heard it.
He was?
Yeah. No one else even saw that guy.
I thought I was in the bubble at that point.
That guy. No one even knows there was the other guy.
No one
Oh.
knows there was another person there.
No, not whatsoever.
Okay.
Reynolds- So, you assume that the skeleton might have had magic. And
Yeah.
It's like he might have had a way out. Maybe he
Well,
knows.
we know the skeleton had
Yeah.
magic.
And he's like,
So we killed him.
maybe he had a way out.
Oh, yeah.
Teleport. Maybe he. Although if he had a teleport, I don't know why he walked into the hallway before he did it. Whatever. The other room's very similar to this, except it's a bit more morbid. But anyway, if we can, this seems actually to be a pretty decent spot to rest. So.
yeah. If we're gonna stay the whole night, I can reapply the.
Don't worry about it. I'm just gonna go behind the painting.
Good idea.
And so he does kind of disappear into this like alcove. He disappears almost immediately as he enters it, just due to the darkness and the way that the entrance is partially covered.
Alright.
And this is where you guys are just gonna take a long rest.
Maybe another one.
So here's the question. I have a really quick question. No one said it. Did anyone take off Carradin's armor? If you didn't, you technically don't lose a point of exhaustion.
I would have
Okay.
asked if someone did, because I'm laying down on the ground. I mean,
You
I
have-
guess
you
I
have to take your armor off too.
I carried him over there, so yeah, I would have taken it off
Okay.
after we brought him in.
So your armor, his armor.
Yeah.
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 I mean, I would have actually left it on just because I would, in case we get attacked, I'd want him to be like somewhat ready to fight. But I wouldn't say anything about that though.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I was just like,
Just-
I had no
to fight
intention of
without
taking it
armor.
off.
Barbarian.
Yeah.
but okay. So you guys take off your armor at least, so that you do get one. You can mark off one of those points of exhaustion. You wake up in the morning with 1 hit point.
Yay.
Yeah. As you wake up and you're face to face with Anna above you, like reaching out as a stone statue.
Oh, that's what happened.
Actually, roll an intelligence. At disadvantage because you still got the first point of exhaustion.
Not one.
Nope. It's
6.
a 6.
I'm gonna put it this way: you wake up and seeing that, in the first moment at least, you're not entirely sure you're awake or if that's
Wisdom.
either way.
It doesn't matter.
He rolled it's a 0 either way. So yeah, he rolled a 6. He got a 6. So he doesn't immediately acknowledge that
Oh,
that's
it's
actually. It's just at first his initial instinct, whatever it is just Anna's above him.
We have
This is
have
stuff.
rested, right? Okay.
I guess I am awake. Oh, that sucks.
So yeah. So everyone gets their full hit points. Half of your expended, or up to half of your, the short rest rules. That thing. You get
So we get full hit points, right?
you get back to full hit points.
Oh, and then
Wait,
half of the
wait,
ones
I
you
don't-
expended.
No, because you didn't. Because you woke up with 1 hit point. Everyone else is up to full hit points as long as they were awake. Reynolds does not wake up. At the moment, he's breathing, he's there, but he seems to just doesn't wake up. And if you expended any short rest hit dice, you get them all back up to half of your level. So up to 6 back. If you use more, you don't get those back.
Oh no, I didn't use one.
I only used half, so.
Yeah, I mean, you don't tend to use too much more unless you take a lot of short rests. So, but yeah. So and while the morning kind of comes, as you're kind of getting adjusted, you still feel terrible.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Went to bed tired, woke up
yeah,
tired.
still tired.
Stretch my hand out. So what happened?
You
Anna
stretch your
got
hand out, and it like
petrified.
nearly reaches Anna's hand, it is outstretched above you.
Anna got petrified. Reynolds is still sleeping,
If to level up. And it's just hit
and
points and.
Faust is
right,
outside
yeah.
behind the painting,
And you rolled your hit points.
I need
Um,
2 or something right now.
and you
Well,
went down.
I think I got to like 1 or 2 or something.
But you
Yes,
knew that.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
know that now. I
Um,
forget how you went down though.
Oh, that really hurts.
I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm assuming Reynolds did it,
Oh yeah.
unless Faust did it.
Or it might have been Faust.
No, it wasn't Faust. Faust did put an arrow at me.
Yep.
And that hurt. Yeah.
And you can kind of feel that the hole still kind of there.
That's gonna be a good reminder. Okay.
Apparently one of those stone things
Shade
is what.
was the one that took me out.
Oh, being too close to it.
No. It beat the snot out of me.
Oh. Yeah. I also enlarged him because I did the dimension door, and then I asked
Yeah,
again.
Taylor just kind of looks and goes,
I asked
Really?
again if I should try and dispel him, and they told me yes. And so
and
I
then Taylor
tried
just
it
goes,
again.
why? And then Faust comes out and goes, because we're desperate. I had 2 spells left, and
I was about to die.
he was about to die, and he was useless.
Yep.
because it was
Totally
darkness.
useless.
Well, you were out
Yeah.
of spells.
He was out of spells, but it was
Spells.
also darkness as
Darkness.
well.
Taylor goes, oh,
Bye.
that sounds bad.
Yeah. He
Spells.
gave The reason why I have exhaustion
Yeah.
is because I was too close to him. He was giving out points of exhaustion. He was giving out exhaustion, or
He just made you
me
tired. Yeah, it just
Giving out exhaustion. Like
you
Halloween
just
candy.
you
Like
felt
Oprah.
you felt like your energy draining when near him.
You
basically.
get exhaustion. You get exhaustion.
So
You
yeah,
all
as
get
Faust does walk over.
So can I have a full explanation of why you shot me?
Yeah, sure. Give me a second. And like pixie dust, suddenly a bunch of diamond dust flies into the air over Anna. And yeah, you go to cover your mouth, but as he casts Greater Restoration and she comes out of Unpetrification, she comes free and you're like, and then she like falls forward,
Oh, thank goodness, this is gonna hurt.
full armor, right on you.
1 point of damage?
Well, make a dexterity saving throw to see if you catch her.
Oh,
You're okay with saving
throw.
throws.
Okay, cool.
You're a barbarian. You get advantage.
No, I don't.
Oh, you're not. Do you not? Did you not pick that?
I'm pretty sure I didn't.
Ooh, unfortunate.
But that's a 21.
Yeah. So, as she falls forward unexpectedly, you're kind of like, whoa, and you kind of pop up, and it's not quite so graceful because she falls forward, but she kind of goes, and like, you have her, and she kind of looks back and goes, oh, something bad happened again, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Really bad. Oh.
And then Faust, without really acknowledging the rest of this, just kind of looks to you and goes, oh, sorry. Yeah, she kind of stands up. And Faust kind of like pats on the shoulder and goes, you're all right. And goes, I believe that negative reinforcements helps learn a lesson.
Kind of hard to reinforce what I'm not sure of.
Don't make me waste spells when we're trying to dispel a shade.
Oh. Okay, got it.
Or don't make me make you waste a spell. We wasted 4 when we could have used 2.
You know, I forget that I say people with me sometimes. Wasn't thinking, kind of in the moment. Oh, that was really nasty. That thing. No, to self, don't let him do that again.
Yeah.
He seems not to have any like, discrimination, unlike you.
From what you guys tell me, I don't exactly have discrimination either.
Well, not when you get hit.
Did anyone hit him?
No.
No, I was talking about you.
No, I
Oh,
know. I was asking if anyone hit him. I didn't remember seeing anyone hit him.
None of us hit him. After he had done the thing.
Yes, the thing. Your coughing has annoyed him, so 70 hit points.
Jeez.
So you feel.
Yeah.
Actually, let me double check that real quick.
I'm waiting.
No, it's 70.
Okay.
If he cast it, just let me make sure that it didn't require
Anything
something
crazy?
he might not have. Just verbal and somatic.
Jeez.
Heal.
Whew. Much better.
Also, that removes all poisons from you. Congrats.
That's nice.
I can put him back in though.
Let's not. No.
By the way, you don't know how close we actually cut that. That was my last spell that deshaded it. That's why I was annoyed. Because it was cutting it close.
Do my
Also,
inspiring words help?
from now on, always have Dispel Magic.
I don't know it. Someone want to help me with that? Next time you find a scroll, let me know.
Oh yeah, you can do that.
They didn't exactly train me in that whole aspect. It was more just kill it before it gets a chance to do anything.
You know, I get that. Alright. And then Anna's still kind of just sitting there going, it like waits for the conversation to kind of die and goes, okay, so what happened?
Oh yeah.
And for the sake of the short version, word vomit of just
All
everything
of
that
this
happened.
trying to say it at the
This
same
is
time.
this is when, however, Kevin and Krellick, you realize you guys actually didn't really do anything to the wall. You had thought you had broken it down via the wand,
Oh, yeah.
but you find out there are these things that they were
I
destroying.
wasn't trying to break down the wall. I was just
No.
trying to...
I meant him and
Okay.
Reynolds. Realistically, but Reynolds didn't
So
even hear it.
I found like special things,
Yeah.
and Faust said they're important.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, goes through it. You find out. Faust does bring up, as far as he's aware, though, there should have been 5.
5? We only.
So someone else took out 2 other ones at some point.
Huh. I mean,
Oh.
Potentially millennia ago, potentially 100 years ago, potentially the day before.
Right.
Like, who knows? But 5 is how you anchor something.
apparently we're just really lucky.
That or...
A monkey.
Because he rolled an Arcana last time. That's when you asked for the important thing. It was... And this will actually sound familiar, but to you guys, is you anchor something with 5. Actually, roll an Arcana.
18.
Alright, so you know this too, as soon as he mentions it. It's, when you anchor something, if you really want to anchor it, you anchor it with 5 points.
Yeah.
If you really, really want to anchor it, each of those points has 5 points. And you anchor this thing out in a hexagonal web. And this creates pentagonal web that will create large areas that are anchored, and unless every anchor is destroyed, things can't fall, like walls of force that are one way.
Or
Yes.
storms.
Yeah,
Or not storms.
not storms. Not storms. Interesting way to put it. But yeah. And so he goes, unless this was anchored poorly, there should have been 2 more. He goes, and I think I might have found 1 in the other room. I just don't know what the 5th one was.
Is there? Well, I would know that. Never mind. So, wait, did I rush into the room? I did. I can't remember.
No.
Into what, that
There was
room?
poison.
That.
No, you
Oh,
Oh
never.
yeah, I didn't. I saw
You-
into it and I went.
You never
nope.
even fully saw the skeleton. You only saw a figure.
So what was?
Yeah, during the word vomit, as he kind of hits the point where he doesn't know, someone else picks up just for the sake of it. You hear about the 3-headed skeleton. You
Oh.
hear that, apparently it was really into taunting.
Was it
I mean, with
French?
3 heads, any of us would have been.
So. And then getting back to it. So that room, does it have any other exits?
The main room?
Yeah.
Main room, no. Faust says, I looked through it. There's a couple traps that I found that apparently don't work. Probably use or just time. The other room is very similar to this one, except basically shade everything in purple, black, and gold instead of red, green, blue, and gold.
Does the purple, black, and gold have any significance that I might know of?
Roll history. You have disadvantage because of exhaustion.
Two nat 20s.
Are you
Nice.
kidding?
He's impressed.
No, I am
Wow.
not.
No.
Okay.
He really just knows what this is. Wow.
He knows everything there is to know about shades, apparently.
Yeah. You know that.
You're very knowledgeable on your drapery.
Apparently.
Right. And here's the thing, though. I'll give you a bit of yeah. Okay, nat 20 at disadvantage. Sure, I'll give you a bit more than I was thinking you should have even gotten off a nat 20.
My goodness.
So first off, gold, these dies, how ancient this tomb is, how ancient you see around you, this knowledge that Faust just gave you, kind of all just clicks in your head all of a sudden, like some random epiphany from a god long forgotten. That day I am even goes, what? As yeah, this is an ancient story, and apparently you heard it at some point somewhere in the Strand. You heard the story of there was first off, the basic things you know is any kind of dye with purple or gold almost immediately intones a royalty.
Yeah.
You mix in the reds, the blues, and the greens, and that wasn't really enough for it to trigger for you.
Mm-hmm.
But you hear about the difference between this red, blue, and green, and this black, purple, and gold, and it strikes you in your mind that you did hear about this story. It's one of those stories of forgotten places. It sticks in your mind kind of like the story of Atlantis, or a city lost in the sky.
Mythical cities being lost.
Yes, it's a very old one. You don't remember the name, but you do remember the really old legend. You can't remember any specific details of names, but it was the idea that this one city used to exist where supposedly no other people could exist. They built a city under a god that has been long forgotten. It was one of the most technologically, magically advanced cities that ever existed, supposedly.
It's got to be those, right?
And under the banner of a specific king that was seen as good, he was wiping out darkness in the world. He was expanding. Whether that's propaganda or not, you're not entirely sure.
It might.
But the story says that he basically was expanding and was seen as a righteous, knowledgeable, and peaceful king, despite being expansionist. However, while he was a warrior king, his banners that he flew were red, blue, and green. Or it was a specific flag. You don't know the design of it; just had those colors.
Yeah.
However, he had a brother that he left in charge of the city while he was gone. This brother, after years of the rightful king being gone, doing his conquest, lost the idea that he was supposed to be this placeholder. Eventually, he struck the colors of his brother, raised his own colors being purple and gold with edged in black.
The steward became the king.
Basically. And they, from what you remember the story, they were twins. And so it was a matter of an 18-minute birth separated them.
Oof.
You remember that oddly specific point in the story. You don't know why.
Weird.
But what happened was eventually this king grew old as a warrior, and when he came back to his city had completely changed. The prosperity of it was still there, but everything was tinged. The goddess that he had worshipped had been banished from the city for another, and when they waged war, the city was lost. Gone through the annals of history, no one knows where, somewhere under the shadow of a mountain. However, this world has a lot of mountains. And,
odd that this stuff is here.
and you do remember, however, the story is that both of them died when the city was lost. All that was left was the people that were conquered, that never even knew where the true city was.
So I regale everybody with this story.
Out of nowhere, as Faust mentions this, you go through and just word vomit this.
Oh man, that came out of left.
And everyone else kind of just looks at you and goes,
What? Thought it might be important.
and there's this moment of like,
Sure.
is
Okay.
it? Faust goes, there is two sarcophagi in here.
One of the king and one of
What
his
was
brother.
what was the? And Faust asks you. You read in the previous room something about that.
Oh yeah.
I don't quite recall.
Something about a evil.
A hero and a darkness that were
Um,
entombed in here.
That's true.
Interesting.
Is what you would read.
Yeah.
Faust goes,
You really want to open
Maybe.
up another can of worms?
open up? No. Do I want to know potentially what is actually here? Also, the other room has a camp, so I figure we may want to... That might have been the other person who destroyed the anchors.
Yeah. They might have their notes still there.
How quickly can you just read these walls?
Give me like 10 minutes.
I mean, we got 10 minutes. We still got to pack up Reynolds. Not to mention, he does look at you two and goes, honestly, you two look like you could use another day.
Yes. I'm good for right now.
And Reynolds still isn't awake, so. Why don't you two just sit? Kevin, let's see what we can find out. Let's give you another 8 hours.
Yeah, I think we need to learn about whatever this is that we do.
Can you do the thing where you read?
Read?
His spell. Do you have it?
Oh, no. I don't. You know what's weird? I don't have that.
Okay.
I usually have it dictated to me by people who know the language.
Alright. Well, what are you doing, Kevin?
I'm gonna be once I'm done. I'm gonna read the walls.
Okay.
Say it to me.
Taking notes or?
No, I'm updating my character sheet.
I should probably put on armor. Probably a good idea.
Well, for the next 8 hours, if you put on your armor while you're resting, you do not get your point of exhaustion.
Oh yeah. If we're resting for 8 hours.
That's basically was the time limit to see if you guys can relax, and then, for the sake of the short version, do you attempt to read the walls?
Yes.
Just with the idea that you start in this particular room, when you start, I'm just going to give you kind of a random location. You realize it's the middle. Eventually, you kind of fade over to a side, and you read. And so, for this particular spell, it translates a language. Names don't really translate in languages. So, there are names where you can't really pronounce them or don't understand exactly how it's said. You skip over those for the most part. However, as you read it, you hear the story about this king, this person who was born supposedly from dust and sand with his brother, created only moments later. Don't know what that's referring to. If Carradin's correctly, that's the name of parents. If not, it's just, prose. It goes through, and it tells the story that these brothers basically were led by a goddess to a oasis. Oasis isn't the correct term. The term would just be a paradise amongst the dead.
Okay.
Would be a way to phrase it.
Yeah.
And then eventually the names are replaced. The names are replaced with the equivalent for the mouth of a river, referring to the one in this particular tomb. You notice that whatever this title is, that is called the mouth of the river, is for this person, and his brother, who you assume is in the other tomb, if Carradin is correct, is referred to as a tree's roots, basically, equivalent, or just roots. The story basically goes, and it actually is very similar to what Carradin says. Carradin missed some details, mostly how they established law, that they established a college, and this is potentially, looking at the writing, potentially millennia ago, before Shao and Shell even became a full nation and unified.
Yeah.
It talks about how he went out against the orcs and the goblins and the other races that had yet to be civilized and brought them light and water, is how it is described.
Yeah.
Trying to make balance. It does mention the goddess by a title at one point, and it was, the title is just the one that weaves the scales.
Okay.
And the story is very similar, except near the end where the detail gets a little off, where the brother returned and it wasn't... The way the wall writes it writes it as when the brother had returned in his old age to seek his throne, the other brother had just been accepted by the people. The mouth of the river had been gone so long, the people had forgotten that he was their king, and when he attempted to take the throne back from his brother sided with the people in saying, this is the throne that has been left to me, and they have accepted that. In your old age, simply enjoy your retirement, basically, is if you simplify it.
Yeah.
However, this caused the rift between the brothers. The warrior king ended up fighting and ended up winning, it actually says. He didn't die with his brother. After he killed his brother, however, and it does say by his own hand, he realized his mistakes, as the goddess actually abandoned him. And he had declared as his last act and only act as king that they would both be entombed. And that they should not be, basically that they should both be entombed, they should be forever forgotten, and this city should be abandoned, because as the goddess abandoned it, much of the protection that had it from the area around it had been lost.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the story that is written on this particular wall, is just the story of this king and his conquest and eventual return, and in his jealousy, after believing he had earned it, striking down his brother. And then it does imply that he actually, after the tomb was constructed, entered the tomb himself and had it sealed while he was still alive.
Okay.
That's a new twist on the story.
Yeah.
And that's just in this first room.
Yeah.
There's the main room, and there's that side room that Faust mentioned as well.
Yeah. I'll try to read more into it if I can.
Okay. Which one would you want to start with? Would you want to go over to this other area with also
I'd actually
papers
choose the
and
main
camp?
room.
Main room? Alright, the main room's,
And I'll actually follow you. So what does it say?
Yeah.
if you follow, you're not taking a rest. Just letting you know. If you're more interested in that, you can go. Like, you're only at 1. Everyone else is
Yeah,
at
I'm
2
actually
points.
fine with that.
Okay.
Just-
When you get into this next one, you do have to re-up the spell. It takes 10 minutes, you know. Da, da, da. But you're able to read this one, and this one has a lot.
Yeah.
A lot more.
I mean, I'm not doing
Um,
strenuous.
For you,
That's-
listening to a story can potentially be strenuous as you get invested in.
It's like listening to a bedtime story.
Potentially. I'll give you a potential roll.
It could be sitting down in the center of the room just listening. Yeah.
Right, but for a bard, a story is
That's fair. Yeah.
life. Like anyone else, that'd be a guess. For a bard,
He's going more into it. Yeah.
and he's also probably prodding you when you simplify details.
Yeah.
Thank you. But getting to that potentially later. This one has a very obvious beginning, because you notice it looks like at one point the wall began on the side wall and went around, but on this wall, you can tell as soon as you read it, it's written by a different hand. And for which one would you want to start with? This one looks to have been added later. That one is more when the tomb was constructed.
When the tomb is constructed, we'll start from.
So you start from the beginning, which is this is the story of basically the city. It talks about again. It begins with the story of the two brothers born from dust and sand, raised by such things, where the goddess decided that in a land of death they should create life, create a balance where there isn't one. These brothers were apparently gifted, and this one it says more detail, were gifted with apparently extremely long lifespans. Whatever race they were, you don't know, but the way it describes it, it's millennia. They built the city, the entire city, of their own 2 hands. They planted, they found water where no water was supposed to be. They planted trees where no plants grew in this area of death, and it describes it as the paradise amongst the death, which is eventually what they named the city.
Yeah.
Which you realize just from the reading it, it's probably a different way to pronounce it. The language was different. Paradise is pretty much the translation for the city's name, or at least close to.
Yeah.
As you read through the rest of the history, you start to notice specific things. It says it was in, as the goddess commanded, they built this city in the exact center of the barren wasteland, within the shadow of a mountain that will always be directly to the north, so that they would always know which way the sun was coming, and that everything was in perfectly balance. Their city was constructed to be perfectly in line, where half of the shadow would split the center of the city, and the other parts of the city would be equal on each side. They dug deep underground, and their city expanded in every direction, completely parallel in every direction.
Yeah.
Apparently, the buildings reached as high, and they reached underground as much as, according to one thing, you hesitate when you read it, because it says 7,000 feet in every direction somehow. Whether this is an exaggeration, who knows? But or feet also. It says 7,000 something. It's a unit of measurement. Doesn't translate. But as you keep reading, it tells the story of eventually, once the city had built to the point and the kingdom had been established, that people came, were enlightened, were taught magics and histories beyond what the brothers knew from natural means. And one of the brothers, the eldest, decided that this should be spread to the world, while the younger decided that they needed to create this bastion of this knowledge. Eventually you get to specific details about where he went. Make a history check. Carradine, when you get back down here, make me a history check.
4 plus 7.
4 plus 7?
Yep.
I'm trying to think who else would be listening. I think Anna would probably be listening, just because Carradine went with you. So I'll make her have... She only has a +1, so that's kind of... Okay. I'll get to it in a second, but they describe the open fields that he marched across, the cliff sides that he found barbarous people and helped them find their path. It talks about the mountains and the chasms that he marched as he spread. It talks about the oceans that at one point flanked on both sides as he drove back orcs. It goes through a lot of details, but then it also flips to the other side. And it talks about the laws and the systems of writing, that the language that you all know now, at least as common, apparently there was a language before that was attempting to be that. It's not that. Apparently the city fell before it could truly express this language out into the world, but every citizen was taught a very specific language, so that as it spread, more of the world spoke this. You know that it's not whatever language you speak now. Whatever empire eventually sped that language is not this one. Double 9s this time.
9.
Interesting. So what was yours? History's 9.
9.
What was your history?
7. Oh, sorry. With this thing, it was like a 4 plus a 7.
So just over time. Okay. The geography is interesting. Being flanked on both sides by water, grassland that lead to cliffs, sounds familiar. But it's on this continent.
Yeah.
Whatever this location is. But it refers just constantly to these two brothers and what they're doing, and the system of expansionism, but also the system of expanding knowledge as well. Until eventually you see, as you come around this side, the details of this are just intense. For a while, it's just moving past law number 362 written down kind of thing. Like,
At the law of it.
yeah. You eventually get to the point, however, where old age started to strike them. Generations had passed. Their own sons and daughters had been born and had died of age, to the point where their kinship to their descendants was probably as muddled as their kinship to any other person within the city. And the warrior king returned. And the history speaks very similarly, except you notice here is where there are two histories. One which tells the story of the interior king who hadn't seen his brother in about 2 millennia, as he had just traveled and fought for every foot of land and every bit of people to turn them towards the city, to have them join. In 2 millennia, they had just become too different. They had once been twins and looked completely different at this point. One had sought knowledge, the other had sought strength.
Yeah.
Strength and wisdom versus knowledge and law. And they disputed. And it talks about the one with the law tried to use the law of the idea that it has been too long. Their age had come up, and he was saying we need to have a different system of law besides us. The other saying, I have earned my right as kingship for the last few years. I wish to the king of the city that I have grown. And the dispute ended up razing the city to the ground, as the people loyal to each one were willing to die. And when the city was all that was left, the king, known as the Mouth of the River, had succeeded. And as he had stood above the roots, his brother's blood on his sword, the entire city was suddenly exposed to the elements of the death around them. The trees withered, the river that was running through dried up almost immediately, and as he realized his own mistakes, he honored his brother and had them taken to this tomb to be imprisoned as both of them in their own ways honored in their different rooms. And they were to be sealed unless some great need was needed for one of them to come back to the world as a bringer of something. The word is, you assume it's the name of the deity again, because it's untranslatable. And then you get to the side wall, which seems to have something additional.
Yep.
And you want to read that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and this one's very different. It immediately starts with an apology to the mouth of the river and the tree's roots, that their restful place, despite being yada yada yada, all these gracious things, before basically saying their honored goddess needs the use one more time, and hopefully with their aid can create a prison for a great evil that now walks upon the earth. And if they can walks upon the planet, not the earth, but and it basically talks about how this prison, it doesn't talk about how it was constructed, but it talks about that it was constructed to contain something, and that something, if ever released, potentially could bring about the destruction of the pantheon of gods that bring light upon the world. Unfortunately, Kralik has to leave us now, but we're about to wrap up because this is why it's the short version. And we're just getting some history, and then they're probably going to just start on their walk back to the Rada. But you get this history of whatever was released in here, the fact that it got away. The fact that you guys got away makes you feel very lucky.
Yeah.
The fact that it got away makes you feel a little bit less. And as you finish reading it, it basically warns of the curse that was upon this tomb has been removed for this new curse, because two curses within the same location potentially could only make this entity stronger. And so it says, for those who release it, the curse upon you is the knowledge that you may have destroyed everything good in the world. And that's what it says on the back wall.
Awesome.
Cool.
Alright, so
So
with that knowledge,
we gotta kill this thing.
I agree. We need to probably get back to town first and stop just opening new things in here.
Faust actually goes, because Faust kind of walks in, he wasn't listening to it, and he just kind of goes,
We kind of like releasing.
no,
things
here's
down.
the unfortunate thing. I think we need to open 2 more things.
I'm actually kind of
Oh.
agreeing with the tomb, if you're thinking of that.
Are we gonna release the kings?
We already did one.
They-
Seems like it.
No, because these 2 rooms have 2
No.
sarcophagus.
Oh, there's 2 rooms, okay.
Whatever the first one was the Guardian
Okay.
that you read in that first room. He goes, there needed to be 5 anchors. And he's going to go into the dark purple one, which you hadn't gone into. And as soon as you go into it, you can see more writing on the wall. And he goes, I need help opening this.
Agreed.
Well,
Yeah.
It's you 2 plus Anna, so yeah, you guys have no issue. Just pry it open, and Thing is, though, you think it's going to stick, but it doesn't. It slides as if
Yeah.
it's been opened.
Ooh.
And as it opens, there's a desiccated corpse. It's hard to tell what race it would have been. It's obviously a medium humanoid-esque creature, but in its core, where normally the stomach or the internal organs would be, it's just around the edges still exists, but in the center is just this granular black sand with a silver chain.
Ooh.
As you enter this particular room as well, you actually see what Faust referenced potentially as morbid was not the color so much as above this, or not above this tomb, but around this room, there are, it appears to be broken statues. It appears that potentially whoever affected this, at least on this particular one, failed to protect themselves, and then no one was around to free them, or no one cared to. As
Yeah. So why would we even attempt to break it? What are you thinking?
what are you referring to? Are you actually
Faust, asking Faust, like, why do we care? Like,
care about what, the anchor?
yeah, what do you
just
think it's for?
The anchor was for that thing. I just wanted to know where the other two anchors were, and
How did it break?
he looks over towards the broken statue and goes, I'm guessing they opened them. And that one, there were some statues. I didn't see any in that position, but I'm guessing something was trying to free that thing.
Yeah.
Or I'm guessing someone was trying to loot something from in here, and they made the mistake, and they unlocked two of the anchors.
Most likely.
I have no idea. All I know is
Quick scan around the room. Is there any paintings kind of like the ones on the other side?
Yep. And the paintings are just the figures within them. The paint is really faded, and it's all
And
kind of ruined and
the
faded.
one that I saw that was busted in the other room, I'll go up to that one.
Solid.
Completely solid.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, that was my idea.
But so do you want to read the writing in this one?
What is it? Where is it?
It's just on the walls.
It's on the walls. Sure.
You get the gist very quickly. Very similar story on the other end. Basically, when the mouth of the river left, there was actually chaos in the city for decades. As different people actually attempted to usurp kingdoms or claim to have more power than they did, or some became lazy. And this particular king, the Roots, had to grip the city a lot more tightly, but once he did and had it under control, he was able to produce more laws, more codes, and it does describe that. Unfortunately, as much as it potentially could have helped the city or potentially done these things, there was actually a lot of resentment and hit to him early on, as he was seen as a tyrant for generations before eventually the laws really took hold and the people began to respect what was currently in existence. And it wasn't, and then it was a few centuries later before the brother returned, and at this point, when the Civil War breaks out, it talks about he went to field against his brother. It was not a one-sided thing, and he just simply lost, not having the same strength of body as his brother.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't talk about his final words or any kind of last redemption on his part or anything like that, because there was no chance for it.
Yep.
It refers to the city falling, the laws being torn down and burned during the raising, most of it gone. And it refers to, once again, the kind of a location where, once again, the land of death and the shade of the northern mountain faded into the death that it wrought.
Okay.
And again, within this area, you do see there's a small camp. It looks like someone existed here for a time. There are papers. Faust actually looks through them and is actually going to hand you some of them because they seem to be arcane in some nature on some of them. But most of them are notes, just a person writing notes on attempting to unleash the thing within the prison. Having found the two anchors, and the journal actually basically says one of them on the destruction of the second anchor, the person was lost, and then he had no means to bring them back, and so he, for some reason, in an angry one moment in one of his journals, it says he smashes it.
So there was another person here.
At some point, Faust kind of rifles through and goes, they left at some point. Potentially before the entrance was collapsed, like we found it. Ceiling is very similar to like a tile etched stone. But no, so you find this. There are some arcane things that you can kind of look into at a later date, but as this kind of comes through and you realize, and Faust goes back and confirms in the other tomb with Kralik and the other king, also same kind of form, same position in death. The black sand, whatever core that was within them, was used as an anchor and was and then destroyed.
Oh, it has been destroyed.
Yeah, that was
Oh, so
destroyed.
they were both
the
destroyed.
granular sand is what's left over after they're destroyed.
Okay.
Which you wouldn't have known. That's right. So Faust and Carradine would fill you in on that. But the anchor, that means the anchor's gone.
Yeah.
So we found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's 5.
Yeah, interesting that they'd have a hidden room on this side, on that side, but not have anything here.
And Faust kind of goes, if everything was symmetrical, it's easier to find. They made 4 of them symmetrical. The 5th one...
True, but don't forget that with the city, it was symmetrical, right?
It's true.
Yeah.
And there's a shrug, and Anna goes, but how do we know the tomb wasn't symmetrical before the prison thing was put up and they didn't dig that new one?
How'd it look?
All the tunnels are actually pretty roughly carved. Like the ones
Rough
behind the
carved.
mirrors, the one behind that.
Right.
It's much more roughly carved.
So maybe they were.
Mine didn't look normal, so.
Okay.
But as you've gained this information, you do see throughout these tombs, there's wealth. There is fabrics, there are paintings that are probably worthless at this point due to the faded paint. But there are jars and incenses, there is jewelry and armor, all of it decorative. There's decorative weapons and things like that. But there doesn't appear to be anything else. It also looks like despite the fact this tomb is not supposed to be entered, it looks like more than once it might have been, especially given these journals. And it looks like potentially some things have been taken, other things left behind.
Okay.
It's interesting there were...
Actually, can you guys, just because you're the only ones here for me, roll me investigation. I'm gonna roll one for Faust and Anna.
What the heck?
15.
What is up with these dice?
What?
Another double 9.
I don't know.
Weird. Okay. So that's just a flat 9, I think, for you, unless you have proficiency in it.
What? Investigation?
Investigation.
Yeah,
15.
15. So you actually are the one who sees it. There's one noticeable thing, which is in one particular in this one, the one you were originally at, there's a piece of jewelry on one of the statues where there is a large inset diamond, and there's smaller diamonds up the sides.
You saw on a statue?
Yeah, it's not on a statue. It's on one of the statues, because the statues are dressed up with jewelry and things like that.
All right.
A lot of the jewelry looks potentially expensive, but also
If I have time, I'm gonna cast detect magic on it.
okay. There is no detect magic. There is no magic on it.
There is no spoon.
There is no. It's just
Yeah.
it's
It's really valuable.
It's an expensive diamond.
I'll leave it alone.
All right, and you're the only one who saw it, unless Faust has a higher investigation now. Okay, so he rolled a 7.
Jeez.
Yeah, and so the 8 hours kind of pass. You guys are gonna regale the kind of the history to these others. Reynolds never does get up. Faust attempts to heal him, and after he does heal him, he actually still doesn't rise. He appears to be in some kind of coma-esque state. And Faust says, "I don't have any." Probably. But he goes, after this next kind of 8-hour period, as you lose a point of exhaustion, because I'll give it. He leaves it, and Kralik loses it. There's kind of a feeling from Silvertree creates more than one nature shrine in these rooms. Each room kind of getting their own personalized version. It looks like as he crafts it out of broken stone and bone. There was a bunch of bodies in that room back there, as well, that you guys didn't really search. But for now, at least, the 8 hours pass, and then unless any other searching is to be done, you decide that Reynolds might not wake up. Carradine, at least, and Kralik are looking much better. We'll decide whether or not you choose to truly leave next time. But for now, you guys are all actually finally potentially set to leave.
Yeah.
And the tomb of the Forgotten Kings behind.
Alright, cool.
And that is the short version. That didn't end up as short as I wanted it, but it's still short. For anyone who's watching this or ends up watching this in the future, we have a short one this week. Next week will either be a short one or potentially something different. We're not entirely sure yet. However, we do plan to have a kind of a long one as like a making up for some lost time, but also kind of like as a celebration that we supposedly have this running smoothly until today's technical difficulties. But that should be resolved actually fairly easily. But we will let you know. We do have the Twitter Assorted Dice. I think won because when originally the Assorted Dice got created, there was a mistake.
So many mistakes.
But yeah, so Assorted Dice 1 has updates. We have a YouTube with Assorted Dice, which has all of our previous and then eventually our future. And other than that, there's usually more of us, but for now it's just us because short version. And that's it. We're Assorted Dice. We'll see you later.